All right. I suppose, are we live, Madam Producer?
I think
Mr.
we're
I think
live.
we are live.
Trying to figure it out over here. Little technical issues,
That's
but it's
right.
Monday, as
Okay.
always.
So I'm Dr. Wickham Simons. This is Michelle Kennedy,
Hello, everyone.
nurse practitioner from Dr. Simons Metabolic and Weight Loss, Metabolics and Weight Loss. This is our Monday, October the 5th, Facebook Live Ask Me Anything event from the Raleigh office of Dr. Simons Metabolics and Weight Loss, and we are open. We've been open the entire time during COVID. We've never closed, and we're not going to close. So we want to thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate
Share this
that.
with your friends too.
Yes.
We've noticed, I think our viewers have gone up, which is great. More people are getting information that they need and send in your questions. And thank you to everyone who is always sending in questions every week. We really appreciate it.
That's right. So with that,
Let's dive in.
shall we get into the
Yeah.
questions? Yeah.
Let's do it. So we're gonna start with Kim from Morrisville. What made you decide to go into obesity medicine, and what keeps you motivated to stay in the field? This is an interesting question. It's
Yeah.
definitely a different topic than we've covered on any of our previous AMAs. So I think everyone would probably love to hear your story, and then I'll share mine.
Well, I just, I think it was a combination of things. It's never really one. I think everyone wants a simple distilled answer,
Mhm.
but life's not really like that.
Mhm.
And so, I would just say that that was the producer's hand, by the way. That was the wedding ring, I think, that you saw there.
The
On
adjustments.
Okay. But anyway, I am an emergency medicine physician by training, and that's what I was doing when I kind of developed an interest in this. And when you work in the emergency department, you see a lot of people who come kind of to the end of the line with emergencies that maybe could have been prevented. It occurred to me that, okay, on things like smoking, we tell people along the way. I think most Americans get the idea that smoking's not a good thing for you, right? And that message has kind of gotten out. And, I realize people still do it, but at the same time, compared to when I was a child, attitudes about that have changed and a lot less people do it. And that's had a good public health benefit. Okay. So I don't think that I couldn't tell that we were doing anything about obesity. And, as far as I could tell, what we were doing as a medical community was telling people just to figure it out. We were telling patients to figure it out. And I myself was gaining weight, working all these hours and so forth, and had a problem with my weight. And I didn't know there was any medical solutions. I just thought it's something you got to figure it out. You go to Barnes and Nobles, you buy a book, I don't know, go to a commercial outfit or something. This is how you do it. And so I just felt like something needed to be done. And so that started me on this journey, and it ended up here. And so I find this to be a very engaging field because we can prevent a lot of problems. Yes. And we can prevent a lot of those visits to the emergency department. And so, and there's a lot of new things. You may think that what we do here in the office is fairly simple, and to some degree it is, but I can tell you that when you go to a conference in emergency medicine to do your CME, it really doesn't change a whole lot. It's the same things they were teaching 20 or 30 years ago. I always say if you get shot in 1960 and you get shot today, the care is largely the same. The imaging modalities may have changed. The CT scanners may be nicer, that sort of thing. But the basic treatment's the same. So the stuff gets old, right? But we didn't have this obesity thing figured out. We still don't. And there's a lot of emerging information, and it makes the education a lot funner, a lot more intellectually intriguing.
Yeah.
And so it's a very stimulating field to be in intellectually, and I like that about it.
I agree. So my journey to obesity medicine also wasn't a straight line. I did my training at the University of Delaware. I got a nursing undergraduate degree, 4 years, and then I worked as a nurse on a medical surgical unit in a small hospital in Pennsylvania for about a year. And then I decided to go back full time for a master's as a nurse practitioner. I was about 2.5 years full time schooling. And when I graduated, I decided to move down to North Carolina and came down with no job prospects. I hadn't taken my licensure exam yet. And I happened to meet a nurse practitioner that worked at the office at a dinner where I kind of stood up and said, I'm new, I need help, anybody. And Allison, a wonderful nurse practitioner who's been with our practice, I think the longest of any NP or PA, kind of, roped me in. And I didn't even know the field existed. We were not taught that it existed in nursing school. So I was intrigued. It was new, it was exciting. And I realized it actually fit right into what I had always wanted, was to do more preventative care, because on the medical surgical unit, it was like the hospital had a revolving door of people coming in for the same issues related to their diabetes and cardiac stuff and orthopedic stuff, their knees and their hips and their ankles, which was all weight related.
Sure.
And diet related and lifestyle related. And in the hospital, we don't have time to be teaching them how to really take care of themselves. We just patch them up and send them on the way, and then they turn around and come right back, unfortunately. So I really wanted to get into that preventative care, and that's what obesity medicine ended up being. I've attended, I think, 7 conferences. About to attend the 8th this week. We actually have an obesity medicine conference. It's virtual. And I'm really excited because at all of the conferences, I learned so much. And as Dr. Simon said, this is a kind of a new field, and it's ever evolving, and there's a lot that we don't know. So it's exciting to always know that there's maybe something else that we're going to have as far as a treatment plan or an option for patients. And I think it's a lot easier for me knowing what my colleagues are doing as nurse practitioners and physician assistants to stay motivated, because it's so rewarding, this field of helping people and seeing results and saying, congratulations, you don't have diabetes anymore. And, you're not gonna, have to worry about all the consequences that come with your weight. So changing lives is a part of this specialty and of our practice, and we do it every day, and we become friends with patients. I have so many patients I consider friends. It's a close relationship that we develop, and that therapeutic relationship is really important with a specialty like this, because it is such a sensitive topic, and there's a lot of misunderstanding among patients and colleagues. The world at large doesn't really get why we exist as a specialty, because there's still that thought of you should get a self-help book and fix it yourself or just use willpower. And that is not how it works. We really give people the hope and the tools that they need to overcome a really difficult thing, which is carrying excess weight and living in a world where you're the minority if you don't carry excess body fat and excess weight. So it's been a journey. I've been in obesity medicine for 8.5 years now, yes. And you've been in for far longer.
Yeah, really, kind of about 16 years.
Okay.
And so it continues to go on. I mean, I agree with all those things. I got tired of giving people bad news. Emergency medicine is a bad news field, and it's like, hi, I'm Dr. Simonds, and your relative is dead. Or, hi, I'm Dr. Simonds, and, you have a serious problem. And we basically put a Band-Aid on your problem, but you still have a serious problem, and you're always going to have this problem, right? So that's the kind of messages you frequently have to give people. And it's emotionally exhausting and taxing, when you do this over and over again. And it's nice to be able to flip that switch and to come in and say, we've averted a disaster.
Yeah.
Okay, we've gotten you off of medicine. And so, at our practice, I would say we've really helped thousands of people, find success and get off of medications and change the course of their life. So, you want to try to look. I can't keep you from falling off a roof or getting hit by a car or whatever. I can't help that. But look, hopefully I can help you to not dig your grave with a fork, right? And so and get all these common American diseases that we get, that the society has been getting for the last 40 or 50 years. If I can, keep you from getting those things, and if you've had those things, get you off the medicines for those, because we got that under control by changing your diet and lifestyle. Man, I've really accomplished something.
Yeah. Not only do people feel better, but I think there are definitely a good number of patients in our practice who feel like their life has been saved, and just by finding, this specialty and getting the help. I think it's important to note too that even the patients that come to our practice, and often their family members and friends, are very apprehensive and don't know what to expect, and are still maybe ashamed that they need help or want help. But I mean, I have so many first visits with patients as a new patient, where they leave the appointment, they come in nervous, they leave the appointment feeling so hopeful and so comfortable with the idea of getting help. And that just warms my heart. It sounds cliche, but I love what I do. I have no interest in doing anything else. And I'm so grateful that I found this specialty and this practice in particular, because it really is like a family here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, this next question's a good one. I could pontificate on this for a long time.
So Charles from Raleigh has asked, what do you say to those that are critical to taking medications for weight loss? Excellent question.
Yeah, I think there was a question we missed on our last AMA because we just didn't have time to get to it, that essentially Serena had sent, asking the same thing of why we promote that as a tool, and just cited the fact that there's a stigma around it, around this idea of medication for to lose weight. It's really hard for me to believe that our society has a problem with this when they'll take medicine for anything else.
That is very true.
I mean,
there's a pill for that.
Exactly.
It's a common theme in healthcare.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, anyway, I guess people need to wrap their mind around the idea that obesity is not a character flaw. And if you're going to treat it like a character flaw, then what you're really insinuating is that people get up in the morning and say, I want to be obese. I think I'm just going to eat a bunch of stuff so I can be obese because I want to be obese, right? This is not the case. It's a disease. And every major medical organization that has anything to do with obesity has characterized it as such and has position statements to this effect. There's a biology and a physiology behind this that's very distinct, and we know enough about it now that to blame patients for it is ridiculous. So if you're the person who is making other people feel guilty about this, you're making yourself look really dumb. You need to, this would be a time to not say anything else and to admit you've missed the mark and just back away and say, okay, maybe I haven't had a problem with this, just like maybe you don't have high blood pressure. Well, you shouldn't go tell other people how to deal with their high blood pressure if you hadn't had it, right? So same kind of concept. This is not a character flaw, and the people who take the medicine don't have a character flaw.
And it's not a crutch.
That's right.
And they're not weak. It's not a deficit of willpower. And, I want to point out, piggybacking on what he just said, it's not just how we judge other people. It's how we judge ourselves. I have so many patients who, again, with that shame and that disappointment that they should be able to do it without help, and they should be able to do it without medication. And if it was a character flaw, that would make sense, but it's not. It's a physiologic disease where there are hormonal and neurochemical changes happening. Every organ system is affected. Obesity and overweight is very unique and how much of an impact they have on so many other systems of the body and other, potential disease processes, that we really have to recognize it for what it is and treat it accordingly. Something important to know and to remember and to remind people is the medication does not do the work for you. The medication is not the only treatment plan. It's not a miracle.
It's part of a treatment plan.
It is part of a well-balanced treatment plan that includes lifestyle changes, thought pattern changes, all kinds of behavioral changes that have to go into it. The medication is a tool. It makes it just a little bit easier to execute the plan that we have discussed together that you're going to follow.
Yeah. So we do prescribe medications to help people with this disease, and we have them on site in our on-site pharmacy here. There are some that we don't have, but you could get at other pharmacies, and we write you the prescriptions for those. In addition to that, we like to make recommendations on existing medications that you may take that may be contributing to your problem. And this is a good example of why obesity is not a character flaw. Many people are on medications that actually, contribute to their obesity. Okay, they're on the medication for something else, some other medical problem, and it causes them to be obese.
A lot of these medications are common ones that you may be taking or someone who is taking.
That's right.
These are not like very rare drugs for rare conditions. These are blood pressure medicines. This is birth control. These are, medications for mood and, different type of neurology or psychology. These are widely used medications. Keep that in mind.
That's right. So we call that the Simonds Metabolic Assessment. That's what we call it. And you can learn more about that at simonsmetabolics.com, our website. We go over this sort of thing with you, and we want you to know kind of what these things are and how they affect your weight. So this kind of ties into our next question. I want to thank everybody for joining us who's joining live. The next kind of question deals with how we define obesity, and it really ties into this same question about the medication. Because a lot of these judgments about the medication and the stigma around it and stuff are made on a perception of someone's weight and whether or not they should be taking a medication, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And so obesity is not just a disease of weight. Obesity is a disease of excess body fat. And the body fat is an organ in and of itself, and it behaves a certain way. And you can be a thinner person of a normal weight per se and still have this disease if you have excess body fat. This is another thing that we do here. We determine this for you, and you can still be at risk for all the other comorbidities that obesity causes, like diabetes, if you are thinner and have excess body fat. All the inflammatory conditions, right? So medication can be a part of that treatment plan in a person who visually, when you see them with their clothes on, you say, well, they're not very big, okay? But if they have 40% body fat, they are still at risk for real health problems, yes. And they need to get that body fat percentage down, and they need their body composition to change. And I always say, if it was easy, that sort of thing was easy, we'd all be thin and we'd all be athletic in our character, right? But we're not. And in this country, all you have to do is take a good look around and you'll realize we're not, okay? So you can tell a person all day long, here's what you need to eat, and here's how you need to conduct yourself, and here's what sort of exercise you need to be doing, and this sort. But it's a little harder than that, and medication is often the answer to helping them comply with those things, right? It brings a lot of that brain chemistry you're talking about into balance so that you can actually follow those sort of recommendations. Yeah.
And we also prescribe medications for longer lengths of time. For some people, it is indefinite. And that also is a reason why you You cannot, I say all the time, judge a book by its cover. You cannot look at someone and know whether they've already lost 75 pounds and they're taking that medication to not regain that 75 pounds back. So we really have to be very cautious in our judgments, especially with weight, because we do not know what is going on under the surface. Someone could look athletic and like they're fine. They could have cholesterol through the roof. They could have already had a heart attack. They could be pre-diabetic. Their blood pressure could be, uncontrolled. You don't know. You don't know by looking at them.
That's right.
So I think it's best to just be curious. So, if someone is taking something you're not familiar with, or if you want to ask us questions, like you've sent in, ask, be curious, but try not to pass a judgment if you really don't know what is going on in that person's life.
Yeah.
So good, very good questions. Let's move on to Joy from Durham, who is asking about our CBD oil. Does it help with weight loss? So we carry just to give you all an idea, the Naternal brand of CBD products. There are oils that you put under your tongue, tinctures we call them. And then there are topical ones for non-ingestion, but just to rub on the skin, like butters and creams and salves and lotions. So I think this is what Joy is referring to,
right.
Is what we carry here.
Yeah, so one of the things there, now I'll just say there's not any evidence that I'm aware of scientifically where anyone's done a study to document this. Mm-hmm. So in human beings in a clinical trial where this was the endpoint, right? So I don't want to make you believe that there's solid medical evidence mm-hmm. for this or that the FDA has approved it in this way. What I do want to tell you is that your body has what's called an endocannabinoid system that helps regulate your weight, all right? Now, to the man on the street, I always say, he understands this because you all know somebody who smokes pot. And the pot smoker, the casual pot smoker of Saturday night gets hungry when he smokes pot. And it's because one of the compounds in the marijuana called tetrahydrocannabidiol, or THC, binds to a receptor in this endocannabinoid system that makes you hungry, mm-hmm. all right? And so the person then goes out and eats a bunch of food, right? Everyone's kind of familiar with this concept. Everyone laughs when I say this. They kind of know somebody who, or maybe they've been engaged in the activity themselves at one time or the other, and no confessions required here. But but this is a part of your weight regulation system, and we recognize this in science, and we also recognize that there's a paradox here, okay? That there's the guy who smokes the pot on Saturday night, and then he eats a lot, laughs, tells a lot of jokes, all that sort of thing, and he's overweight. There's also the guy who smokes it 4 or 5 times a day, every day, and that guy's thin. And most of you know someone like this, and for years they've been doing that. And what happens in that person is they downregulate those receptor types, and so they're not hungry. Those receptor types kind of are greatly diminished in the person who's regularly exposed to the stimulus. So I've noticed that people who regularly use CBD, which does not have THC in it, by the way, but does act on those same receptors in the endocannabinoid system, those people who will consistently use it over time, you'll notice that they eat less and that they crave things less. And it is my thought process that they probably are downregulating these receptors that regulate or that make you hungry. Okay, so there's a lot of other potential benefits like the anti-inflammatory benefit, the improved sleep, the improved mood. And these are things that there are published reports in the medical literature about that, how it improves things like aches and pains, how it improves your mood, how it improves sleep. And those things are continuing to emerge. So we carry that because we believe it can help you. And this is a very high quality brand that we carry that's made right here in North Carolina. And you've probably heard about me talk about it before. But I think with its regular use, you will find that in conjunction with the other things you're doing, it may be of some assistance to you in terms of the control of of your appetite and desire for food and drink. And so I do encourage it and say, hey, why wait for some published study to come out down the road when it has no apparent harmful effect, but many other potential benefits? It's probably worth doing. We're going to be rolling out some new stuff this week. It's the CBD like we currently have with a higher concentration of one of the cannabinoids called CBN, which is responsible for that helping you sleep better. And so you can take it, before you go to sleep, and it's only about $2 more than our regular CBD. So I think it's going to be $42 versus $40 on the special that we're running. And look for that in both offices this week. We will have that available for you. So anyway, that's a good question.
Yeah, very good question. Let's move on to Paula, which we already kind of touched on. So we're going to go kind of quick on this. Is it safe to stay on weight loss medication for extended periods of time? Yes, because this disease of having excess body fat and the consequences of it is not something that we understand how to cure. We know how to treat it properly, put it in remission, so to say. Make sure that it's not kind of showing itself, but we know that the long-term physiologic changes that happen once you've been a higher weight do not go away. So at that lower weight, if we don't continue treatment in some capacity, the body will push you back up to that higher weight. And that's the reason why everyone either personally or knows someone who has lost and regained weight. It's not a one and done kind of thing.
That's right.
Even with help, it's not a one and done.
That's why the AMA says it's a disease, because we know now that there are chemical changes that take place that are making you try to gain all that weight back, to take you back to the highest point. These happen as compensatory changes in response to the weight loss. This is why it's so easy to gain weight back. It's not something that you imagine in your mind. It's not a character flaw. No one wakes up in the morning and says, oh, hell yeah, I lost that weight. Now I want to gain it back. No, that's not the way it works.
And it's not people giving up either. It's not people getting sick of their plan and just not doing it anymore. People will work even harder, but their body will just win out. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Very,
it's
very
a biology,
frustrating for people.
right?
Yeah. And the three most recent medications to be approved by the FDA for obesity have all been approved
For lifetime use.
for lifetime use.
Yeah.
So that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Although we do use some older medications that on their labels state that they've been approved for 12 weeks, we know that obesity doesn't only exist for 12 weeks. You don't treat any chronic medical condition for 12 weeks and then tell people, good luck, you're on your own now. So we know that the safety of these medications has been shown. The FDA has approved them. So it's not just our opinion. We have the evidence, and our patients are evidence that not only is it safe and effective to stay on the long term in many cases, but it's required for them to have long-term success.
That's right.
Thanks for that.
So Shelley from Wake Forest, real quick, you want to know about our success in working with diabetic patients. We work with a ton of diabetic patients. We're very successful with that. We teach dietary methods and prescribe medications and do the Simonds Metabolic assessment. These things help, and we have a great track record with those sorts of patients. We would highly encourage you and your friends, whoever has a question about this, we'd love to see you in the office. We can help you.
Yes. Absolutely.
So this brings us to the end. I think we are at the end. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
We really appreciate you being a part of this. And you can get more information at simonsmetabolics.com. The show is there. The show notes are there. We're reminding you that we're open Wednesday and Thursday of this week, though, because of the virtual conference, we're going to be closed. We've been sending out announcements about that. So if you need an appointment, we got to do it Monday or Tuesday. We will have express office in Durham hours in Durham on Friday. Check your emails, right? Check your emails.
Yes, a lot of good stuff.
Okay, until the next time, thanks for joining, and we'll see you.
Have a great week.